This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Cabo Jim Schaller.
Welcome, good neighbors, episode number 237 of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today we have good neighbor Joseph Burke from TrueSpectrum Painting. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much, Jim. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, awesome to get to know people, especially neighbors in the area, and share their story with the communities. So I know you do a little bit of painting, but why don't you explain what you do over at TrueSpectrum?
Sure. So TrueSpectrum Painting, we mostly do interior, exterior painting. We don't do a whole lot of specialty stuff, but to a degree, we are very special, especially here in Southwest Florida. I'm from, the Northeast. I'm from Maine. A lot of Northerners, that we serve out here, not a whole lot of Floridians,
Right.
which, crazy. And there is it's like a epidemic of really poor contracting work down here, which really shocked me. I originally came down here, started a home improvement company, and quickly learned that there's a lot of shady work going on down here, and it really surprised me. I thought, this is Florida. This is where people want to retire. This is where you have all these people from all over the United States, New York, the North, all these areas where, you just grow up and it's like you work hard, you do a great job, your word is worth something. And then coming down here, it was like, man, that it's not like that.
Right.
So with TrueSpectrum Painting, just to keep it, short, is, as the owner of the company, I'm just doing everything I possibly can when it comes to the warranties, when it comes to the quality of the paint that we put on the houses, the communication. We're just trying to do everything we possibly can to just like completely, go against the grain of everything that really people are used to out here. It's to tell people, the warranties we have, how we apply it, this and that, which should be standard. It's as if it's like this unicorn out here. And so we just do everything we can to, just really do the job right and do it right the first time.
Yeah, it's about customer service and work ethic. So let's back up your story for a minute. How did you get involved in the painting industry to start with?
Gosh. So long story short, I got into the contracting side down in Tennessee, and I partnered with a gentleman who was a Vietnam veteran, and he's in his late 70s, and he would outwork me every day. But this was home improvement kind of stuff. But we did a lot of painting, just being in the home improvement side. And he grew up. He went to like a painting school as a young man. Dad owned a painting shop. Like customers would come in and buy paint. And so, this guy, he was painting before rollers were a thing.
Boy.
Paint whole houses with a brush. And so when I moved down here to Florida, started, another contracting business out here, really, I just started looking at my numbers. I started looking at, really, how can I become known in something that is really precise, niche down, kind of have authority in a certain subject, and looking at, what I had already done a lot of, what I already had a lot of training of, having that previous partner painting, it was like, this makes sense. And so quickly got into it, still own the home improvement company, but just really putting all my focus and energy into TrueSpectrum Painting right now.
I love it. So let's talk about maybe some of the myths or misconceptions that, when somebody's getting their home painted, that we could kind of maybe clear up for some of our listeners.
Yeah. I love that, because I always tell people even when I go on quotes, which is, can be several a week, I always tell a customer, I'm like, hey, whether you work with us or not, just here's a little bit of information on what you should be looking, you should know, because a lot of people think, oh, paint is paint. You know, you go out to the store, you get the paint, put it on your house, and you're good to go. And if only it was that easy. And so I would say these are the kind of the four things that I always say to customers, even if they decide to work with somebody else, is one, make sure they're licensed and insured. 2023, DeSantis actually dropped. You needed a general contractor's license to actually paint houses. DeSantis dropped that in 2023. But what I mean now by licensed and insured is definitely insured and licensed in terms of like your state license, your local county license, even your city license. And the reason behind that is because that's not fun. It's not fun to get that stuff. It costs money. It takes some skin to do it. And people because you get a lot of Bob and Joes in the truck who will come and paint your house. But to me, a professional company is somebody who's just going to go through those hoops to just become even more professional. And so I'd say licensed and insured in terms of that. On the paint side is, this is one big misconception a lot of people think is that don't put the same paint that you put on the walls of your house on your garage or your door. And the same thing with the interior. Don't put the same paint that you're putting on walls that you would put on the baseboard or the trim. It needs to be two different paints. And so when I sit down with a customer, I say, hey, I know you're looking for prices. And so as you're vetting out, future, guys that are coming and giving you quotes, ask them what kind of paint are they putting on the trim? What kind of paint are they putting on the doors and the garage door if they're doing the exterior? And if it's the same latex paint that they're putting on the walls, to me, that's a big red flag. They don't know what they're doing.
Yep.
And so an enamel paint is what goes on doors, garage, trim, baseboard, crown. It's a hard paint so that it can be scuffed. It cleans easy. And so that's one thing. Another thing is Google. If you're going to find a new restaurant, where do you go to?
Right.
You're going to Google. You're going to Google. I tell customers, treat it the same way. You're not just going to have this guy that's, you're going to pay thousands of dollars to paint your house. Go do a little bit of research on this guy. If he doesn't have a Google page and he doesn't have more than, I'd say, like 15 reviews, because the first 8, he can just get his aunts and uncles and his cousins and his friends to leave reviews. If he doesn't have more than 15 reviews, I wouldn't hire him. We treat the same thing with the food we're eating, and that's a $50 purchase. When you're putting $10,000 worth of paint in your house, what do the reviews say? What do other people that have used this person say? And 9 out of 10 times, I look up some of my competitors. They either don't have a Google page, and you can't even find them online at all. Yep. To me, that's a red flag. And so that's number 3, and then number 4. Big misconception would be, breaking down what they're doing for the job. I'll have customers, they'll tell me, oh, well, we got a cheaper price. And I'm like, hey, look, I'm willing to do some kind of price matching, but it has to be apples to apples.
Right.
And so I'll ask them, what does the quote look like that they're giving you? And it's not listed of what kind of paint they're using. It's not listed how many coats they're putting on. It's not listed what kind of paint they're putting on the doors and the trim. And so when you have a company that just comes in, they put a number on the back of a business card, just because it's a cheap number, it doesn't mean that you're going to spend more money down the line.
Yeah. You get what you pay for, right?
Get what you pay for, and paint is those things.
I hear you. So you mentioned you were from Maine originally. What
Yes,
brought
sir.
you down to Southwest Florida?
That's a good question. I'm a man of faith. I have a family. I have 3 kids, wife, married. In-laws live over here, and so part of it, I would say, would be we felt like the Lord was leading us down here. Second part was we have family here, and so as my wanting to be a great husband, my wife, her parents live down here, and they live in Estero as well, and so it's kind of a win-win-win-win-win. And So it was kind of obedience to the Lord, family down here, and obviously you got, a great market, good weather, and I tell people I feel like I'm 95 on the inside. I mean, I don't even want to see pictures of snow.
Right. I'm with you.
Yeah.
So obviously owning a business is very demanding of your time, family as well. What do you do when you get a moment of free time?
Yeah. So I really try to rest. Weekends, I don't work my guys on weekends. I try my best not even to be on my phone during the weekend, or doing computer work during the weekend. I really try to force myself to shut it all down, because it's so easy, as I'm sure a lot of people on here can relate. It's so easy to let a business just own you and you not own it.
Absolutely.
And, I've learned that fairly quickly. You can easily work 70, 80 hours a week if you want to. There's a never ending demand of what can be done. So really try to rest on the weekends. Same thing with the evenings. Once 5:30, 6 o'clock comes, I really try to just, shut it down. Even if I'm in the middle of something, just, this can wait till tomorrow.
You need that downtime. Absolutely. So how would our listeners go about contacting you if they had questions about painting their home or just questions in general?
Yeah, sure. So phone number, obviously 239-944-0289. That is our business phone number. And you can also reach me at that phone number. Website, www.TrueSpectrumPainting.com, or via email, joey@TrueSpectrumPainting.com. And I highly encourage customers. I'm like, I'm not out here to just paint everybody's house. Yeah, that's part of the business, but also want to inform people, because I see a lot of slap job work, and just to be informed on what the standard should be. So if people ever call me, email me, text me, and they just have questions about, hey, even DIY questions, I'm more than willing to help, bring some structure, some order to what's being done.
I love it. Hey, any last words for our listeners today?
Last words for the listeners. Yeah, do your research. Do your research.
Hire a licensed guy. There we go. That's it.
Yep.
Joseph, it's been a pleasure getting to know you. Thank you for being such a good neighbor, and we'll see you out in the neighborhood soon.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Estero. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpestero.com. That's gnpestero.com. Or call 239-296-2621.